Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here, once again with another video on The Flash, Season 6. And this is going to be my trailer breakdown for Episode 7 for this season, otherwise entitled The Last Temptation of Barry Allen, Part 1. But of course, let's watch that trailer.
You look scared. He should be. It is the end of the world.
What's happening?
He wants to take control of you. It's up to you to resist him.
There's a way to save the world and still survive.
All you have to do is choose life.
The Flash, new episode next Tuesday at 8/7 Central, only on the CW.
So obviously last episode was the big Ralph-centric episode where we saw Ralph and Barry go to Midway City, do some stuff in regards to sort of tracking Sue Dearborn, then sort of actually get involved with something involving an organization known as Black Hole, which hasn't been set on the show as of yet. It might happen in this episode, episode 7, could happen in episode 8, or it might not even happen until the back half of this season, but it's pretty much a countdown until they actually say the name, Black Hole. Of course, the side story for last episode was Nash, Wells, and Allegra, and all that, getting into the Monitor's hideout, if you want to call it, but also just that relationship sort of, being explored. It almost seems like Allegra reminds Nash of maybe his daughter or a lost one he had, whoever it might be. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. It's pretty interesting what's going on there, though. But the end of the episode obviously saw Ramsey Rosso pretty much in full Bloodwork mode. Not complete Bloodwork, he's not 100% yet, but he's really close to being there, and he attacks Ralph Dibny. So it's going to be interesting to see what the fallout from that is, whether Ralph goes missing, or they find Ralph and he's severely injured. Once again, I have to wait and see. But for those who don't know, this is part 1 of The Last Temptation of Barry Allen. This is a 2-part mid-season finale, the 2-part conclusion to the Bloodwork arc, and these will be the last 2 episodes before Crisis. So they're dealing with the Bloodwork stuff as well as leading into Crisis. So it's going to be a pretty hectic 2 episodes. But of course, before we go into the breakdown of the trailer, let's quickly go over the synopsis or description for the episode, as it does give us a bit more context as to what's going on, and lets us know stuff that's happening in this episode that isn't really highlighted in the trailer too much. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know all of your various opinions and thoughts and theories in the comment section down below. Interested in what you have to say, what you're thinking, especially considering this episode, because there's some freaky stuff going on. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and you're looking forward to this episode, why not drop a like on the video to show that support and excitement. As Barry Allen stands on the threshold of his impending death and crisis, his convictions are tested when the monstrous Dr. Ramsey Rosso infects the Flash with a mysterious hallucinogenic contagion. Meanwhile, reporter Iris West Allen uncovers a vast conspiracy. You look scared. You should be. This is the end of the world. Now, this is said by Ramsey Rosso, or Bloodwork, whatever we're calling him. Now, I guess in this episode he is just Ramsey Rosso, because it is this weird hallucination thing. But this is when we see Barry not only, watching, the red skies of Crisis and antimatter looking to be just destroying Earth-1 and specifically Central City, but this whole opening also shows him, pretty much struggling. He's struggling pretty hard, really struggling. And I think that is more than likely towards the end of the episode when pretty much Ramsey has almost broken Barry. It's interesting that showed right in the first shot. But I think what you're seeing here is obviously they're saying that Ramsey's testing him and everything like that, but this seems to all be taking place in Barry's apartment or his loft, apart from a handful of other scenes. So it's going to be interesting to see how this episode progresses, whether maybe it starts in the apartment, then we go outside to another location, then finish back in the apartment. I'm interested to see the layout of this episode, because it is a bit different. It is this alternate reality. It's not real, it's a hallucination that Ramsey's putting Barry through. So I am interested to see how they how they attack this episode. I guess the big question is will we see more of Crisis outside of this, Central City being destroyed by antimatter? Will there be more hints to it? Will we see maybe more into Barry's death, the aftermath of Barry's death? There is something revolving around Iris and Barry and Crisis, which we'll come back to later in the video. So I'm intrigued to see if they tease Crisis a bit more, just give us little crumbs. Not too much, just some little crumbs. Now, we do see Barry lying on the floor unconscious. Now, this is most likely Barry while he is in this weird hallucination formed by Ramsey. There is something near him. It looks like a glass or something, but it could be something weird. It's hard to tell because of the lighting. But maybe this is what Ramsey attacks Barry with or something. Maybe he leaves it there for Barry, and Barry opens it or something, and it's able to attach to Barry and infect him or something like that. I'm not too sure, but there were promo images released which shows Barry hugging Joe, and I think this might be after Barry wakes up, maybe. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sort of intrigued what's going on here. But we do see Barry waking up in his childhood bedroom, and he looks shook. He looks shocked as hell. Ramsey's just messing with him in this trailer, and I can't wait to see how he messes with him completely in the episode. It's going to be interesting to see necessarily who shows up. Obviously, in the next bit we see Nora, his mother, but I don't think there's any other guest appearances. It would be interesting if maybe like his dad showed up, Henry Allen, but Nora's usually the one that always takes, form around Barry. But man, Ramsey is messing with Barry. He wants to take control of you. It's up to you to resist him. Now, this is said by, as I alluded to earlier, Nora Allen, Barry's mother. Now, I wonder what side of Barry this is that is like trying to, I guess, bring him out or fight against Ramsey's control. Like, is it his good side? Is it like Barry's conscience, if you want to call it? Or is it maybe the Speed Force? Because the Speed Force is a part of Barry, and I guess the Speed Force might feel threatened if Ramsey's trying to take control, which in turn could, take advantage of the Speed Force. And as we know, the Speed Force loves taking the form of Nora. So maybe it's the Speed Force here that's trying to like get into Barry's head and trying to combat what Ramsey's doing. Because this is definitely going against, Ramsey, what Nora's saying here, unless maybe this is Ramsey making Nora appear, telling Barry to do this, because if Barry fights it, it's a better outcome once Ramsey wins. I don't know. I'd say Speed Force, but who knows? Now, we do get multiple scenes of Ramsey just messing with Barry. As I said, we already got like the bedroom thing, and I'm sure something weird's going to happen here, but we do get multiple other scenes of Ramsey messing with Barry, including something in the time vault, as well as, and I wasn't expecting this, but a crib, a baby's crib with the XS logo above it, whatever it's called, what's it called? Someone's going to remind me of this in the comment section now. But what's the thing that flies above the head? A model or whatever it's called, whatever that thing is called, that the babies use in top of their heads. I'm going to come back to you in a second. Let me find out what it's called, and I'll come back to you. It's called a mobile. I knew I was close to it. I was like, it's a mobile. I was like, what is it called? I was close to it, but that's what it's called. So we have that thing with the XS logo just floating above that baby's crib. So you'd have to assume that that's a baby Nora in the crib, which, man, that's messing with Barry real good, because obviously Nora isn't born yet. So if Barry's meant to die in like the next couple of weeks, he's never going to have the chance for Nora to be there, or at least to meet Nora. So that's like some A-grade brain assault. I'm going to call it brain assault. So good on you, Ramsey Rosso. We do see Iris actually writing up the crisis article here, complete with a new image. Iris is struggling to write it. Obviously, you'd have to assume this is like a flash forward, or at least a prediction in regards to what Iris would be doing. So she's crying while writing the article. Now, I guess the big question is is this Iris actually getting prepared, like writing the article ahead of time? I don't think Iris would do that. I know she wants to have a really good field in journalism, but I don't think preempting not your father, but your husband's death and writing an article about it is the most moral thing to do. So it's obviously or most likely a hallucination that's conjured up by Ramsey. But yeah, that's what I was sort of referring to in regards to seeing more of Crisis. If we see like Iris writing up this article, will we see something else? Will we see like what Team Flash is doing after Barry dies? How do they go about? Is like Central City doomed or something? Does Central City fall apart without the Flash there, no matter what the other heroes do? That's what I'm intrigued to see, and I think we might get that. I'm not saying we will, but I think we might get that. Now, speaking of Iris, we do get her, Camilla, and Allegra at a car crash scene. Now, obviously, the synopsis does talk about like Iris uncovering a vast conspiracy. So I wonder if this is going to be connected to the whole black hole thing. That will be what Iris is doing in this episode for the most part. If we look at the synopsis, I guess we'll just be diving deeper into that evidence that was brought to her thanks to Ralph last episode. But it'll be interesting to see if it gets them into any trouble, or if it just sort of sets up some stuff in the future. Now, we do see someone drawing a flash mask on Barry. It's a picture from when he got the Medal of Honor last episode. Now, I guess the big question is, who is doing this? Now, for some reason, I don't know why, because it's not Iris, it's not Ramsey. I think it's Allegra. And I have a feeling like something bad is going to happen with her, especially with her cousin. Maybe she might get brought into Black Hole and something's going to happen to her, and then maybe she might reveal that Barry is the Flash or something. I don't know. I don't think her learning that Barry's the Flash from Nash, that rhymes in a dash, is just a random occurrence. I think something's going to happen from that, but I'm super intrigued to see where that leads, because she's obviously going to be at least some main part of this season, so maybe they take that and go with it somewhere, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm intrigued. Now we hear Barry ask, there is a way to save the world and survive, and Ramsey replies, all you have to do is choose life. So this is pretty much what Ramsey is going to be doing this episode, but pretty much trying to convince and entice Barry, I guess you could say, into joining him, and like in turn, I guess, Ramsey taking control. The thing is, will it work? And on, most times you'd say, well, no, but you got to remember, this is part 1. So something's going to happen in part 2. So you'd have to say, well, yeah, Barry's going to give in, or at least Ramsey's going to take full control, and we're going to see some crazy stuff happen next episode. And I cannot wait to see what happens in that episode, because then the week after, we have Crisis. It's like DC TV fan Christmas. Like, what the hell? But the cliffhanger for this episode, you have to think, would be Barry being taken control of, or maybe someone getting seriously hurt and you might think they're going to die. I'd expect the former. I think it'd be Barry being taken control of. We know that he turned into negative Flash thanks to set photos, but it just depends how long that could happen. 10 minutes into part 2, and maybe the end of part 1 is something else completely different. But I'd expect Barry being taken control over and becoming that like sort of negative Flash character would be the cliffhanger. But this is going to be a crazy 2-parter, and I can't wait to see what happens in this episode, as well as what we get in the trailer for part 2. Because, it's been a slow build-up, I guess you could say, to Bloodwork, but I think if this is, a bit of a crazy 2-parter, I think it's going to be all worth it. But, yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like and it shows up. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what we went over and your various theories and stuff like that. Interested to see what you have to say. And, of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And, yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.